الله آخر العهد مني لزيارتكم. السلام على الحسين وعلى علي بن الحسين وعلى أولاد الحسين وعلى أصحاب الحسين صلوات. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. First and foremost, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has accepted all of your great deeds and a'mal, especially your commemoration and your mourning for the sake of Sayyid al-Shahada wa Abdullah Hussein in the beautiful month of Muharram, as we are getting approaching and getting closer and closer to the day of Ashura, with the hope and blessing that you can get the utmost amount of barakat and blessings on these upcoming days leading to the day of Ashura. The day of Ashura, recite aloud salawat. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. And inshallah we can include the souls of all of our marhumin and marhumat, your marhumin and marhumat of the community and around the globe, mu'minin and mu'minat within our majlis, by reciting yet again another loud salawat. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. And it is the day of Friday, which means it belongs to Imam of time, Hazrat Sahib and Aslam al-Zaman and Jalal al-Ta'ala al Sharif. So inshallah we can ease the pain of the tragedy of Ashura from his beloved heart by reciting our loudest, the most sincere, full of energy of salawat. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Walhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen, we're thankful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for this bounty and blessing to be able to get together on this day's leading to the day of Ashura and be able to sit down in the majlis with the beautiful banner and the name of the Ahlul Bayt, specifically Hazrat Sayyid al-Shahada alayhi salatu wasalam, be able to learn or pick up some lessons and have some discussion points within the school of the thought of the Ahlul Bayt and the Quran. So that by itself is the greatest bounty that every single one of us have to understand and recognize and keep it as precious as possible. Whatever we may lose in our life, the one thing that we will never lose will be the matter of our ideology. Everything else comes and goes. But what actually defines a person and identifies a person's personality, characteristics, value system, the whole reality of a person is something that you cannot take it away from them, right? What is that one thing that we cannot take away from everybody? People's life can be taken away. People's money can be taken away. People's even knowledge can be taken away. People's connections can be taken away. The one thing that we cannot take away, what is that? You have to contemplate on that. Why? That is exactly what Imam Hussein embodies. That is what exactly the movement of Imam Hussein revives it within our hearts. That's that izzah, that sense of honor, in which all of us have, and a lot of times we may not even know about it. We may take it for granted. Or I was just born in a Shia family. I was just born within a Shia community. I was just born with, in such and such part of the world. No, that's one aspect of it. But having the bounty to be able to carry on the title of being the follower of the Ahlul Bayt, it's one-of-a-kind bounty, number one. Number two, with the one-of-a-kind bounty comes a great amount of responsibilities. I cannot just aim for the good parts. I cannot just aim for the best part of the majalis. I cannot only ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for the freebies and all of the goodies and all of the rewards and the sawab and every good thing that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala provides for those who follow the path of the Ahlul Bayt. No, the reward comes with the end of it. I have to work for it. I have to strive for it. I have to try for it. Different, again, different ways, different circumstances, different limitations, different capabilities. That means different responsibilities. So as it comes the month of Muharram, the number one lesson that we learn from Imam Hussein and all of the Ashab and the companion is what? The topic of sacrifice. Why would Imam Hussein give up everything, not only on behalf of himself, but on behalf of his companions, on behalf of the elite members of his family? At least 17 of the Bani Hashim were killed and murdered on the day of Ashura. At least 17. If Imam wanted to fulfill his responsibilities as the Imam, all he had to do, he would have gone, according to the same way, but by himself. He didn't have to take everybody with him. He didn't have to take the women and children. He didn't have to take all of the Bani Hashim. He didn't have to call upon the best of the companions to invite them to come and join them in the land of Karbala. He could have gone all alone and he would have become shaheed. Yes? The responsibilities of an imam would have been fulfilled. You would still be getting together and we will mourn for him. Don't be mourn for Amir al-Mu'mineen, don't be mourn for Imam Ehsan al-Mujtaba, don't be mourn for Imam like Zainabiya al-Abidin. All of our imams, because all of them, every single one of them became shaheed. So why Imam Hussein took all of these people, all of these lights, all of these stars of the humanity with him? That's the first lesson, the most obvious lesson of the Ummah of Imam Hussein. To give up whatever we have within our position for the sake of providing that understanding, that guidance, that pathway for others. It's not only for myself. Sometimes when I go to a majlis, I may have a personal intention. All of us probably have this personal intention to different levels. I may want something, I may have a hajat, I may have a sick person, I may have someone who's asking for du'as and prayers. I may have something in the back of my own mind that I'm doing an exchange as I go to the majlis of Imam Hussein. Some of the lower cases, I'm just going to the majlis because my parents are forcing me, right? That would be lowest of the low. But alhamdulillah, sometimes by the force of the parents, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grants us the heaven. Not only to us, but to the higher than us. Such as who? Such as Abbas, the uncle of Nabi Rasulullah. At what time? At the beginning of Islam. So as you all know, he gets captured, he becomes a person at the battle of Badr, right? So they take him to the city of Medina, and he's a kafir at that time, he hasn't embraced Islam. So they put a condition that whoever one of these, like the captives, starts to teach a single Muslim how to read and write, that will be the ransom for freedom. They will be set free. So they line them up, in order to ask what kind of skill set they know, and if they can teach another Muslim, they will set them free. One of the ones who's in line of the prisoners is the uncle of Nabi Rasulullah. Right? As they have lined them up in chains, Nabi Rasulullah is walking by. He looks at them and he smiles. As the uncle sees Nabi Rasulullah in his own mind, right? What does he think? Oh, Nabi Rasulullah is giving me the smirk. He's looking at me in chain, he's looking at me like being in custody, he's looking at me being as a prisoner, and he's giving me the laugh. He's trying to mock me. Nabi Rasulullah overhears his comments. Then he starts to smile even more. I asked him, why are you smiling more? Nabi Rasulullah says, I'm smiling for the fact that they have to put chain on someone and drag him towards heaven. Yet again, he will not recognize what Allah is giving him. Right? For some people it's like this. No matter how much Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tries to provide for us, we may not understand the wisdom behind it. Like the pain of taking a shot. Like bitterness of taking that medicine. You go to a doctor, he prescribes for you specific medicine, you don't want it. But you have to take it. Why? Through that bitterness of that medicine comes the cure or the remedy which you're looking for. The same concept. So I may be coming to the majlis because my parents forced me. A lot of times I may not understand. Or no, if I elevate a little bit more, I may come to the majlis because I have that personal intention. There's something I'm after. I find a solution for it within the majlis of Imam Hussein. In what sense? Because there are so many fazail, there are so many karamat, there are so many miraculous works that constantly has been reported from the Ahlul Bayt. Right? Leading all of them would be as if Sayyid Shah, to the point that there are books and books and books and books and books of listed items of how many karamat has been reported from Imam Hussein, let alone all of those who has not been reported. And no doubt about it, right? Those who go to ziyarah, they probably have seen some. Those who go for arba'in, they probably have seen one. Even at this very same majlis that we're sitting in, all of us coming together for 10 nights in a row, right? That by itself is a form of a miracle if you actually look at it in a right perspective. You can do a lot of other stuff. What brings all of us to this majlis? Is it the message that gets sent out in the WhatsApp group? Is it that flyer that they send out that for 10 days you're going to have the majlis for the name of Imam Hussein? Is that what is pulling us towards this majlis? Or no, by default something tells us to get up and attend the majlis at 7 o'clock sharp. There is another pull that is pulling us, inshallah, right? So that's when we talk about the true sense of Iman, the true sense of belief. إِنَّ لِقَتْلِ الْحُسَيْنِ حَرَارَةٌ فِي قُلُوبِ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ لَا تَقْعُدُوا. There is this harara, there is this heat in the heart of believers for what? For the sake of the murder of Abu Abdullah Hussein. This heat will never go cool. What does it mean? Heat that will never become cold. It means that energy, right? That motivation. The same energy that the month of Muharram starts, everybody gets up. Everybody starts to look for their black shirts and all of the black attires, all of the flags, all of the stuff that we use and decorate for the commemoration of Abu Abdullah Hussein. And that's what we see around the world. It's not only here. We see it around the world. There is this harara, right? There is this heat, there is this momentum, there is this energy. This energy will never go down. It will never go it will never be put out. It will never become cold. Rather, every year it becomes stronger and stronger and stronger and stronger. Why? Because everybody is on the spiritual journey, whether they acknowledge it or not. And that's when it becomes very interesting, right? Whether we acknowledge it or not, we are on the path of growth and completion. We are on the path of gaining those perfections, right? But a lot of times, again, remember the example of my parents forcing me to go to majlis. I don't understand the pathway. I don't understand the why. Yet again, I'm gaining the benefits of it. I'm gaining those rewards of it. I'm benefiting from the effects of it, right? That's the lowest of the examples. Now, if I want to gain utmost amount from this, what am I supposed to make a change to? I have to make sure that I understand the steps that I take, right? Every step that I take comes with that ma'rifah, comes with that knowledge, comes with that understanding. That, okay, when I go to a majlis with the name of Imam Hussein, it's not to focus on a history only, but it's to focus on the soul of Abu Abdullah Hussein, right? The soul that is alive, the soul that is constantly pulling upon us. The famous, hadith from Abu Abdullah Hussein himself. What does he say? He says, "Ana qatilul abara." What is abara? Some they say it's a tear, but technicality, abara has a very interesting definition for it. We can talk about it for the upcoming days, inshallah. We'll lead to it. But just to give you guys a very brief understanding, why would Imam Hussein says, "I am the one who has been killed for the sake of abara"? Some say abara means ajra, means to learn lessons. Meaning the life of Imam Hussein is a life that whoever studies, there are so many lessons to be learned from his lifestyle. Some say no, abara comes from a tear. But what type of a tear? The tear that rolls down from our eyes constantly. There's different terminology. As the tear circulates around our eyes, they call it dana, right? As it starts to fall down, they call it qatra, which is sort of abstract, right? But as it is constantly pouring down, is when they call it abara, right? So ana qatilul abara means I am the one who's been killed for the sake of constant tears, constant. So what is Imam Hussein talking about? At his own time only? Because at his own time, everybody was crying for him. At his own time, on the day of Ashura, both sides were crying for Imam Hussein. Right? Umar Assad was crying, Sayyidah Zainab was crying. So when it comes to tears, both sides are crying. What's the difference between the two? Which one is actually a tear that will have effect? Which one is just merely speaking, moisture and H2O that is falling down from the eyes, right? So this whole topic of a physical closeness to our imams, right? That's what I say, like a lot of times you have to understand, it doesn't matter where we are born, in which family we are born, in which culture we are raised, or whatever like the name we may have, that by itself is not enough. That by itself is not enough. In the matter of fact, I could be born in a family in which my father may be Imam al-Ma'soom, yet again, I may flip sides. Like who? Ja'far al-Kadhab, right? There's Ja'far, who's known as being the liar, who actually becomes the reason in which our Imams become Shaheed. Why? Because he keeps on reporting them to the Abbasid Khalifa of their time. So he's the son of the Imam, right? His father is Imam al-Ma'soom, but he becomes, or he chooses the path of becoming a liar. So having that connection by itself is not enough. I have to work on it, right? Having that physical connection, let's say when we come to the majalis, one of the common things we refer to is the ziyarat. We all want to go for a ziyarat. We all want to go and see the beautiful shrine of Imam Hussein, right? And as you go to his shrine, we all want to go and hold on to his zari. Now how closer can I get to Imam Hussein than his zari? I mean our time, right? In the physical time. Well, guess what? There are so many people who are buried next to the Imam al-Ma'soom. But just by being buried next to the Imam al-Ma'soom will give them the benefits of that Imam. Inshallah, all of you guys one day go to Mashhad, when you go to the shrine of Imam Raza, the Zari of Imam Raza, when you look at the room, the Zari is not in the center of the room. Right? When you look at the roof, when you look at the Zari is shifted to the side, it's not in the center of the room. There's always this question, why the Zari is not in the center? Because usually when they design a room, right? Especially when it's something so dear, so important, they make sure it becomes the center of that structure. So as you walk in, you'll see it. So what's the answer to that one? You look at the history of the place, and guess who's buried in the center of the very same room in which the Zari of our Imam al-Ma'soom is there? Anybody knows? It's one of the famous Khulafa of Harun al-Rashid, right? One of the most fearsome of Khulafa, the one who has done so much and so much and so much, right? So he's buried where? Right in the middle of that room. Right next to who? To Imam Raza. And Imam Raza actually, he foretells this before he goes to the, before he's summoned to the city of Najd, he foretells this, that I will be buried next to like the father of Ma'mun, which is like Harun al-Rashid. Is Harun getting any benefit from the grave of the Imam? If he's not getting any benefit, why do we talk about tabarruk, right? We go to the zari, what do? We touch the zari and we rub it over our face. We kiss the zari, right? We try to rub it over our clothes. Why? We take it as a tabarruk, we take it as a blessing. So Harun is buried right next to the grave of Imam. Why isn't he getting the tabarruk? Why isn't he getting that blessing? Right? Umar Asad cries for Imam Hussein on the day of Ashura. Why doesn't he get the blessing? Even to some extent, according to some report, even Yazid al-Anatullah, he starts to repent from his actions. When Sayyid Zainab and Imam al-Sajjad, they start giving those sermons at Sham, after some point, even Yazid recognizes his mistakes. Some say, perhaps out of the PR that he had, the public relations he had, the face that he wanted to maintain, he started actually mourning for Imam Hussein. Some say. So how come those tears did not benefit Yazid? How come those tears did not benefit Umar Asad? Right? So what should be there that makes that tear a true, effective tear? What should be there that like me being close to the Imam physically will become an effective closeness? Furthermore, for us who are living all the way to the other side of the world, such a long distance, can we say because I live all the way on the other side of the world, therefore I would not be getting any benefit from the sake of our Imams? Or it's vice versa. I could be in any part of the world, if that condition remains, I could be getting a full benefit from the presence of Imam al-Ma'soom. It's not like you be in a specific location. Yes, specific location has effects. Let's say, for example, you go to their shrine, right? There are effects of that place, no doubt about it. But for those who are far away for whatever reason, and they do not have that access, they do not have that physical closeness, does that mean that the pathway is closed? No, it's wide open. Wide open. So many examples again, we go back from the early time of Islam, all the way to the time of occultation and the time that we are in. It's not a matter of physical closeness. It's not a matter of even a timely closeness to the time of Imam al-Masum. Sometimes, like when we always narrate the history of Karbala and Ashura, a lot of times perhaps we start to wish within our heart that I wish that I was living at that time, right? 1200 years ago. Because that time everything was revealed, right? I could see like Imam Hussein on this side, I could see Umar's side on that side. I would definitely go to the side of Imam Hussein. But remember, this is an analysis after 1200 years passed, right? There's a famous, Mukashafa dream of a person who had the same claim. He would always, had this argument within himself that, oh Allah, if you had given me a chance to be alive at the time of Imam Hussein, I would have sacrificed my life for the sake of Allah. No doubt about it, no doubt about it. Every year he keeps on telling himself that, oh Allah, if you had given me just a chance. If I was there, I knew what to do with these guys. If I was there, I knew what to do with the Shem. If I was there, I knew what to do with Umar Hassan. So one night, during the Muharram, he has a dream. In his dream, what does he see? He sees himself in the land of Karbala. When? In the day of Ashura. So he starts looking around, he sees all the the tents and the tents of Imam Hussein, he sees the army of the Umar Hassan, all the people that were lining up, and the battle is taking place. So he goes immediately to Imam Hussein, says, Assalamu alaikum ya Abu Abdullah, finally I get a chance to sacrifice my life for you. What can I do? I report for duty. Imam Hussein says, it's a time for prayer. You want to help me out? Can you stand in front of me as I offer my Zuhr prayer? This is right at the time of my prayer. He goes and he stands in front of the Imam and he's like, mashallah, trying to show up all of his muscles and making sure everything is covered up and nothing goes through because Imam Hussein wants to pray behind me. Yes, I'm fulfilling my responsibility. Then what happens? The shower of the arrows. Right? The shower of the arrows are released. So what this guy do? He's standing there, the Imam is praying with him, the arrow is coming towards his face. What will we do if something is thrown and released towards our face? What's the first reaction that we have? We dodge it, right? We go to the right, we go to the left, right? And especially if you work on martial arts, you should be very good at it, right? The minute something is released, that's what he does. The first arrow comes, he goes to the right. The second arrow comes, he goes to the left. The third arrow, fourth arrow, he jumps here and then left and right, to the point that all of the arrows are gone, and not a single one hits his body. And he's like, wow, mashallah, so much work I have done. And what does he do? He turns around. What does he see? He wakes up from his dream. He's like to say, it's not only a claim of saying, okay, I will be definitely on the side of Imam Hussein, and I will be showing, to those guys, how everything is done, and I would have been able to No. Talking about it is easy. Being at that position at that time, right? Recognizing Abu Abdullah Hussein. Again, imagine if you have a blessing, you have a bounty to be able to talk about imamate, the position of imamate, right? People did not dare to even speak of the status of the imam at that time. To the point that, these are the historical reports, they see this one guy who's constantly cursing his own father. Constantly cursing his own father. At the time of Imam Sajjad alayhi. So they ask him, what are you doing? Right? It's not a matter of the respect, it's not a matter of not saying a vow to the band. No, he's constantly cursing his father. They ask him, why are you constantly cursing your father? So I'm cursing him because he made me Ali. He's like, why? Right now it's like, well, what would you curse your father? Because he made you? Because his response, everywhere I go, they don't give me a job, they don't give me a house, they don't give me a wife, they don't give me anything. Rather, I have to constantly be running away and trying to hide out my name from the public. This was the situation for those whose name were just similar to the name of Amir al-Mu'minin. Now in that position, do you think like someone such as Imam al-Sajjad would come out in the public and say, oh, I am the fourth Imam of the Shia? We don't have it in history. We don't have it in hadith, right? We have it in the particular narrations in which Nabi Rasulullah and all of our Imams only and specifically mention these two very, 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 very particular people. Such as who? Such as the famous companion, Jabir ibn Abdullah Ansari. Right? The very same Ziyarat Ashura we recite. One of the narrators of the Ziyarat Ashura is Jabir. And he's the one who lived all the way to the time of Imam Muhammad al-Baqir, mashallah, right? And guess, like, you know what, at the very same Jabir, he makes a mistake at the time of Imam al-Baqir. Anybody knows what is that mistake? The first time he sees Imam al-Baqir, just to tell you like how severe was the condition of that time. So Jabir goes to actually give a message, right? As he says, like, as he approaches the house of Imam al-Sajjad, one little kid in front of the house catches the eye of Jabir. And what does Jabir says? He says, when I looked at this little kid, it constantly reminded me of Nabi Rasulullah.
Muhammad wa Ali Muhammad salawat. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
So as if like Jabir gets drawn to Imam al-Baqir. In one side, imagine how much, right? He gets drawn towards Imam al-Baqir and he says, like, you know, what's your name? Imam al-Baqir says, no, my name is Muhammad. And Jabir says, you have the most resemblance to your, like, you know, to Nabi Rasulullah. Are you related? He says, yes, I am Muhammad, the son of Ali, the son of Hussein, the son of Amir al-Mu'minin, the son of Nabi Rasulullah. As Imam al-Baqir is explaining this, immediately those khadama, those servants of Imam al-Sajjad, they run out, they take Imam Muhammad Baqir and Jabir, they take him inside the house, they close the door, they lock the door, they start making sounds. Why? The people around, neighborhood, those informers, right? They will not get the message of who this little kid is. See the severity? See how much surveillance was even on the house of the Imam. Right? At the time of Imam al-Sajjad is the highest, right? Why? Because remember, Imam al-Sajjad is the only one who's been saved, basically, who's been left from the tragedy of Karbala. So how often would you think Yazid will send people to check on Imam al-Sajjad? Because remember, their purpose was not only to defeat Imam al-Hussein. What was their purpose? Yazid has a famous poem when they bring the Karam al-Salah to Sham. As they're about to enter the gateway of Sham, Yazid starts to recite this poetry. That, you know, as if like a couple of days the Bani Hashim were playing with the power. Where are my ancestors, the Abu Sufyan and Muawiyah, to see that finally I got what we deserve. And all of this Islam and religion and all of it is out the window, as if like it was a game. For them, it's not a person. For them, it's a battle against the truth. They want to make sure they remove the religion once and for all. Right? So if they want to remove the religion once and for all, what do they aim for? They aim for the one who's a true custodian of religion. That's why they go after Imam al-Hussein. After they go after Imam al-Hussein, who else would they aim for? Would they go and only kill Imam al-Hussein and leave, like, his family, and leave especially the one who's going to be succeeding him? Or no, they have aim for both. You know what I'm saying? All of this stuff, because we'll get to it, why I'm mentioning all of this stuff. So this, the amount of, or the severeness of the pressure, that was on the Ahlul Bayt, right? From the time of Amir al-Mu'minin, the time of Imam Hassan al-Mujtaba, especially in the time of Imam Hussein, and afterwards even goes higher and higher and higher. Even at the time of Imam al-Baqir and Imam al-Sadiq. But sometimes this is again a common misunderstanding. Because we hear at the time of Imam al-Sadiq had 2,000 plus students. So what comes to our mind? That mashallah, Imam al-Sadiq would go to the Masjid al-Nabi, he would sit down on the minbar, 2,000 students will come and say, from this time to that time, they will benefit from the lecture of Imam al-Sadiq. Was that the case? No. It was exactly opposite. To the point that sometimes when people wanted to ask questions from Imam al-Sadiq would give them like codes. You know, I want to ask a question from Imam al-Sadiq, and Imam al-Sadiq tells me a code. If you want to ask your questions, like, tomorrow, such and such neighborhood, I will be passing through at such and such time. Right? The person would show up tomorrow in such a place, and Imam al-Sadiq is passing by, he would raise the question, Imam would answer. There would be a second question, Imam would give him another code. A couple of days later, such and such took place. What was happening? Constant surveillance on the life of our Imam. To ask a question, they had to find creative ways. All the way to the time of Imam Hassan al-Askari, right? To the point literally people were the true Shias, they were dressing up as cucumber seller. Imagine having a business to sell cucumber, right? Just for what? Just to make sure they find a way to get closer to Imam Hassan al-Askari to ask one question, right? All of these journeys, just to get that question. So it's not as easy as saying, okay, if I was there at that time, 1,200 years ago, I would definitely be on the side of Imam Hussein, because guess what? People did not understand what Imamat is. Alhamdulillah, today, we can easily talk about it. We can easily have a definition of it. We can easily get into depth in terms of the theological discussion of what Imamat actually is, and how it is impossible for the creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to be left without the Imamat. As if you remove the Imamat, the whole creation collapses. Right? And that's why we use the term custodian. Not custodian of only religion, but the custodian of what we refer to as the creation. As if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala creates through the path of Imamat. Right? One of those filters in which the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala goes through. Is that a little bit high up? Right? Now, when it comes to our responsibilities in the month of Muharram, right? As we're leading up to the days of Ashura, if I want to gain that companionship, right? Our topic was Prosperous companionship. So if I want to gain that companionship, I want to make sure I take the steps according to the steps of Imam Hussein. I want to take the steps according to the steps of the Ashab. What should I be doing? How should I be dividing my time? In what sense of priorities would I be looking at my life? Individual life, family life, social life, work life, school life? Or no, should I just go whatever that comes to me, whatever that's been given to me, whatever has been empowered within my word, in a sense manipulated within my mind? That's another topic. How many days of lectures do we get throughout the year? The 10 days of Muharram, maybe 30 days of month of Ramadan. Do we have anything else? Here and there. So all together, how many days? How many hours will it come down in a year? No fact check today. Now vice versa. How many hours of school do I get per year? How many hours of screen time do I get per year? Don't answer that one, no? Make a simple comparison. How many hours of screen time? On average, per day, then multiply that by the days of the year, and then compare that one to the hours of lecture time. And lecture time, obviously, we talk about a full lecture, but in reality, what happens? They say to be here at 7, I'll be here at 8:15. Yes? But I count it as an hour and 15 minutes like in a lecture, right? But let's say, for the sake of an argument, we have about 10 hours of lecture in Muharram, about 30 hours of lecture in the month of Ramadan, and that's 40 hours per year. Here and there, a couple of days here and there, I'll give you a double of the amount, so that's 80 hours worth of lectures per year. How many hours of screen time do you have per year? What do you say?
10 times.
For some people, I think they have the 80 hours in one day, right? The ones who play non-stop, they don't sleep, and they're known as professional gamers, right?
60 hours per week.
60 hours per week. So,
Multiply that by 52 is 3,000 over.
may Allah give barakah. Salawat.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
So just take that 3,000 plus hours of screen time, compare it to the 80 hours, for the sake of argument, 100 hours of lectures per year. Which side's going to win? It doesn't take like a math genius to understand, right? 30,000 versus 100 hours. What happens? What's the ratio? And that's only the screen time. I'm not talking about the rest of it, right? That's only the screen time. Now if you add like the school time, if you add the work time, if you add like the socialism time, like the times that you have spent with your friends, if you add all other stuff to it, the 100 hours of lectures is not going to get any more. So if you want to be realistic about it, what are we doing? In our own life, we are taking or we choosing to be on the side of Mumarasat. How? I'm giving everything to the side of Mumarasat. Right? I'm giving the majority of my time, majority of my life, the majority of what Allah has given to us one by one to the side of Mumarasat. It may come as a shocking point, but that's a reality. Now, what's the workaround? Right? Again, these are the stuff that I mentioned to find that workaround. To understand, okay, if it comes to the month of Muharram, because we always have to understand it's not only a matter of quantity, because the comparison I made, there's a counter argument for it. What's the counter argument? Very simple. It's like, Shaykh, yes, you say 100 hours in comparison to 3,000 plus hours, but 1 hour would have such a high value that in return it could like cover up so many thousands and thousands and thousands of hours. Yes? So it's a matter of value of that hour, the quality of that hour. Which means like, if I go to a lecture, if I go to a majlis, if I listen online, doesn't matter. If I have a lecture at home, at the majlis, anywhere I go, I have to make sure I focus on that quality. Right? On the quality of at least the words, inshallah, the ayahs of the Quran, the ahadith of the Ahlul Bayt, the narrations that we have, like the intellectual aspect of the discussion. I'll make sure I review it, not only with myself, but even with my friends. Right? After majalis, have your own groups. Have a discussion, have a review. Try to continue whatever has been discussed in the majlis. Let's not be just passive listeners. No, let's try to become active listeners. How can I become an active listener? If I take whatever I hear in the majlis or anywhere else in the books and get into the circle of my friends. Let's have a discussion. Every time we get together, what do we discuss? Sports, job, school, crypto. Crypto here? Okay. What else do we discuss? Why is it that, the topic of backbiting, right? Ghiba, it's so common among us. Have you thought about it? We know the hadith says, Al-ghibatu ashaddu min al-zina. Backbiting is worse than the act of adultery. Make a comparison. Yet again, how easy we do backbiting? Why? Look at it from a normal human aspect. It's very simple because we get together. There's only so much news that we know. So what do we talk? The people who are not present at our circle. It's so easy. Oh, you know him? Blah, blah, blah. You know her? Blah, 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 right? It becomes a joy of our gathering. Something so haram becomes a joy of our gathering. So if I want to change this, one way is to say, okay, I'm going to stop. Every time I'm going to go to a circle of my friends, if someone does a backbiting, I'm just going to say, hey, that backbiting is haram, stop it right now. Say, okay, stop. Then what are you going to talk about? So there's going to be pitch silence. And then from the next time, they're not going to be invited again. Crypto again? No. So backbiting for crypto, is that halal or haram? Right? So we say salawat. So what's an alternative? What's the workaround? How can I fix the situation in which it will not hurt the circle of the friends, nor will push the circle of the friends to go automatically by default towards committing that haram act? Is to come up with topics in which will be number one, interesting enough, and number two, which is more important than being interesting, to be actually beneficial for us. So many things we talk about that has no benefit for us. So many questions we may ask that has no benefit for us. One of the common du'as, right? أعوذ بك من علم لا ينفع. We seek refuge to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala from a knowledge that لا ينفع, has no benefit for me. What does it mean has no benefit? The very famous question that as Amir al-Mu'mineen was struck in the head, he says, Saluni qabla an tafqaduni. Ask me before you lose me. Now guess what they ask Amir al-Mu'mineen? The guy stands up, he says, oh Amir al-Mu'mineen, how many hairs do I have on my head? Do a fact check on that one. Right? So how does Amir al-Mu'mineen answer? I mean, like, what would it make a difference to Amir al-Mu'mineen to tell him, like, you have 1,000 pieces of hair or 1,001, 1,002? Whether he's going to acknowledge, he's going to say, confirm that or not, right? Or what is he going to do? Buy a different type of hair product? But what a question he's asking. When, as Amir al-Mu'mineen struck on the head, he's laying there in that condition, he stands as the other question. What's the question? How many pieces of hair is in my head? And he says, how is that going to benefit you? You're going to become richer, you're going to become more successful, you're going to have more connection, you're going to how to find prosperity. What type of benefits would you get from? And even again, if Amir, because he has the knowledge, he wants to say, he can say an exact number, but are we going to start counting it hair by hair, one by one, and try to confirm that what Amir al-Mu'mineen says is actually true? So the type of questions that we ask, right? The type of questions that we ask. And you'll be surprised. So many of the questions they ask Amir al-Mu'mineen, they all fell on the same path. Why? What does that indicate? It's not to laugh at those companions, no. Again, you were no different. In what sense? It indicates that they were not even contemplating of why are they alive? Why have they been created? They were just, another member of the society. Whichever the trends would go, they would go. Right? People would go to a masjid, they would go to a masjid. People would stop the war, they would stop the war. People would criticize Amir al-Mu'mineen, they would criticize Amir al-Mu'mineen. As Amir al-Mu'mineen refers to these people as the flies in which on the side of the shoreline, with each breeze of the shoreline, they go to right and left. They don't have any self of independence. They don't know what they're doing. They don't know why they're here for. They don't know the whole the miraculousness behind their own creation. Each one of us are the sign of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, yes? We refer to that as ayah. Ayah means sign. Meaning the entire powers and the attributes and the names of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can be seen in every single one of us. What does that tell us? Don't take ourselves lightly. Don't just say, I'm just like one of the many. No, we are one of the many, but each of this many has a value. Each of this many has an ocean of miraculousness behind them. But for us to acknowledge that, for us to recognize it, for us to see it, that's the fourth perspective that we have to change. What is the fourth perspective? The way I see other people. Only people, not even people. Not only humanity, but even the animals, even the nature, even the environment. Why do we have so many specific rulings that in the middle of the battle of the war, be careful of the plants, be careful of the trees, do not burn, for example, the farmlands, do not ruin, the fruit trees, right? In one battle, at the early time of Islam, where the soldier of Muslimin, it was a spare item. It wasn't like they had thousands and thousands and thousands of soldiers, right? It was a limited amount. If it's a limited amount, what do? You try to keep all of them for the major events, right? As they're about to approach the battlefield, all of a sudden Nabi Rasulullah says, I need one volunteer among the soldiers. One of the guys says, I will be volunteer. What should I be doing? Right? He's thinking that Nabi Rasulullah is going to give him a very important mission. What is the mission Nabi Rasulullah gives him? He says, you see this little dog here with her puppies? I want you to stand here as the army is coming. Guide him to go to the side. Do not step over this little dog and her puppy. Imagine you place a soldier just to protect the life of the dog and the puppy in the middle of nowhere. Right? The rights of environment, the rights of animals, the rights of even the trees and stuff around us. Let alone the rights of human beings. Let alone the rights of human beings. That's how detailed our religion is. And that's how we are lucky to have such a religion. But how much of this religion have been able to understand? One, more important, two, to practice. That becomes our part of the bargain. I have to make sure I hold on to that part of the bargain. And as tonight, alhamdulillah, there is a special program, and I think this is something cultural. Let me just put this in parentheses. When it comes to this nights of the Muharram leading to the day of Ashura, every culture has a different order in which, which night belongs to which shaheed, or which night they do masab of which shaheed. There is no revelation behind it. There is no narrative behind it that, let's say, first night is this person, second night is that person, right? When it comes to narrations, there is no narrations. It's just what we say is part of the custom and the culture. So let's not let that be like a barrier for us. When you come to the Majlis of Imam Hussein, you have to understand that those who were around Imam Hussein, all were the stars. Each one of them that we hold on to, each one of them that we do tawassul to, each one of them that if you find that connection to their heart, will be more than enough for a lifetime. So it doesn't matter which order you go to. And tonight we want to talk about someone very, very, very special. He's not only special in terms of being as a part of the member of the Ahlul Bayt, but he's so special that all of the youth in the session, they can literally speaking focus and learn from his values, from his life, from his manners, from the way he literally walked, the way he talked, the way he reasoned. And there is a whole background and story to it that inshallah as we talk about this beautiful, beautiful, beautiful shaheed of the tragedy of Karbala, the shaheed in which, again, commonly narrated like in a dream, is that they had a dream of Imam Hussein whose body is all covered in wounds. As his body is covered in wounds, people start to mourn for Imam Hussein. By the mourning of the people, these wounds gets healed. One by one, one by one, one by one, right? The more we mourn, the more we commemorate, the more of the wounds of the body of Imam Hussein gets healed. Up to when? Up to 2 wounds. And no matter how much people cry, those 2 wounds will never get healed. One of them is on the heart of Imam Hussein, one of them is on the back of Imam Hussein. So they asked Abu Abdullah, what are these 2 wounds that no matter how much we cry and mourn to ease the pain and sympathize with you, these 2 wounds will never get healed. Imam points at the wound on his back. He says, this is the wound of losing my beloved brother, Hazrat Abbas. And then he points towards his heart. He says, this is the wound of losing my beloved son, Hazrat Ali Akbar. The role model of the youth. أشبه الناس خلقا منطقا برسول. Just think about this phrase, in which Imam has spoken it on the day of Ashura. So many aspects to this very same phrase. Why would Imam al-Ma'sum, who would not speak out of his own desires, refer to Hazrat Ali Akbar as the one who has the most resemblance in terms of the manner, in terms of the personality, and in terms of the way of talking and reasoning to who? To Nabi Rasulullah. What else is left? If the person has resemblance that much that he looks just like Nabi Rasulullah, the way he speaks and he reasons is just like Nabi Rasulullah, the way of his characteristics and personality is resemblance and identical to Nabi Rasulullah. What else do you want? To the point that Imam continues. He says, every time we felt like we missed Nabi Rasulullah, we would look at Hazrat Ali Akbar. Oh Ali Akbar, walk a little bit in front of us. Oh Ali Akbar, recite the azan. Oh Ali Akbar, talk a little bit. His walk, his talk, his recitation, his reasoning, exact identical resemblance of Nabi Rasulullah. As the Maqatil says, when all of the ashab are gone, it comes to the time of the Bani Hashim. The very first one who comes up to Abu Abdullah Hussein seeking permission is Hazrat Ali Akbar. And typically speaking, when it comes to the battlefield, the ones who are closer to the one who is in charge, the one who are closer to the commander, they'll probably go at last because they're the most valued one. They don't want to lose them first. Hazrat Ali Akbar comes up to Imam Hussein as the first of Bani Hashim, before Hazrat Qasim, before Hazrat Abbas, before all of the youth of the Bani Hashim. And they say as he was about to go and to ask permission from Imam Hussein, as he's getting his gear from, the tent from the khayma, the women and the children, they realize that this going of Hazrat Ali Akbar has no return. So the report of the Maqatil says, all of these maharam and the women and the aunties, Sayyidah Zainab, Sayyidah Kulthum, they start to circle around Hazrat Ali Akbar, saying one simple thing. They ask him, O Ali Akbar, Arham qurbatana. Arham qurbatana. Have mercy on our ghurba. Have mercy on us being left all alone in the middle of nowhere. Have mercy on us. As if they're asking that, you don't have to go to the battlefield. Think of an emotional moment at that time. Someone such as Sayyidah Zainab, someone such as Sayyidah Kulthum, all of these little kids, Sayyidah Sakina, Sayyidah Ruqayya, all of them are coming up to Hazrat Ali Akbar and they're asking him, do not leave us. But he's firm. What does he do? As he's about to leave, they ask him, if you want to leave, at least walk a little bit in front of us. Let us take a look at you one last time. Why? The resemblance to Nabi Rasulullah. He comes out of the khidmah. He goes to Abu Abdullah Hussein. Again, the text of the Maqta. The minute he asks for permission to Abu Abdullah Hussein, Imam does not hesitate. Immediately, he gives him permission. Immediately gives him permission. What about the connection between father and son? What about the attachment between the father and son? What about the attachment that we see it in the actions of Imam Hussein, but when it comes to giving that permission, there is not a single second of hesitation. Why? The minute he gives the permission for him to go, again the Maqtal says, as Ali Akbar goes towards the battlefield, Imam Hussein starts to follow him. Hazrat Ali Akbar on the horse, Imam Hussein on the ground. In which form? He's walking behind the horse of Hazrat Ali Akbar, holding on his beard towards the sky, and crying and asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the form of the dua. They say in the Arabic custom, when an elder uncle, he holds his beard towards the sky, it's like his last hope. He's asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on the whiteness of his beard that, oh Allah, grant me my request. And what does Imam Hussein ask? As he follows Hazrat Ali Akbar, he's holding on to his white beard towards the sky. He looks at Hazrat Ali Akbar with the look, but what kind of a look? A look that he knows if he goes, there will be no return. This is the jewel of his life. Hazrat Ali Akbar, at the prime of his life, at the prime of his age, he has to let him go to the battlefield. But wait. This is Abu Abdullah Hussein. He has that extra spice to it. What is that? He says, Oh Allah, Allahumma, oh Allah, bear witness. I am sending the man towards this people who has the most resemblance to Nabi Rasulullah. Khalqan, khulqan, wa mantiqan. He has the most resemblance to Nabi Rasulullah in terms of his personality, in terms of his look, in terms of his reasoning. And Imam is saying out this loud. Why is Imam saying out this loud? As if like Imam has something else in mind as he's about to send the beloved one of his life towards the battlefield. He's giving the enemy the clue that Hazrat Ali Akbar is the one who has the closest distance, the closest status to Abu Abdullah Hussein. So Hazrat Ali Akbar goes towards the battlefield. He fights fearsomely. The point of this, from the beginning, Umar Assad orders his army to attack him in groups. Do not go one-on-one with Hazrat Ali Akbar. So they start approaching him in groups. Hazrat Ali Akbar keeps on killing and killing and killing. And Imam Hussein is watching and watching and watching what is happening in the heart of Abu Abdullah. As every time the strike of the sword of Hazrat Ali Akbar is going to the sky and coming down, Imam Hussein is perhaps saying takbir. Probably he's saying Alhamdulillah. He's probably doing all of his du'as. He's looking and looking as long as he sees movements. At some point, he sees the horse of Hazrat Ali Akbar making a return towards the Zainabiya, towards the tents of Abu Abdullah. Here, when scholars have a difference of opinion, everybody analyzes this in a different way. Why did Hazrat Ali Akbar make one last return towards the Zainabiya and the tents of Imam al-Hussein? Some say it was because Hazrat Ali Akbar wanted to see the beautiful face of Abu Abdullah al-Hussein one more time. You know, as you go to Karbala, as you do your ziyarah, the last day that you want to leave, as you say your farewell, as you say your Khada Hafizi, every step you take, you want to turn back and look one more time at the shrine of Imam al-Hussein. It's just impossible to say farewell. Some say Hazrat Ali Akbar made a turn because his heart missed Abu Abdullah. He wanted to see the beautiful face of his father one last time, the beautiful face of his Imam one last time. So he makes a turn, but for the same reason, he comes up with an excuse. What is that excuse? As he approaches Abu Abdullah, he says, "Oh Father, the thirst is killing me. Is there any pieces of water, any single drop of water at your presence that you can help me? Then I will show this guy what kind of a blood runs through my vein." The Maratta says, Abu Abdullah burst out to tears. He says, "My son, be patient a little bit. Soon you will get your thirst quenched by the hands of your ancestor Nabi Rasulullah with a water that you will have no water as sweet as that water, and you will never become thirsty anymore. Just be patient, my dear son," as he lets Hazrat Ali Akbar to go back towards the battlefield one more time. Others, they say no. This was the heart of Abu Abdullah who was pulling on Hazrat Ali Akbar. Because Imam al-Hussein let him go at the first farewell, but the way he let him go, there is still that attachment. As if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is testing the threshold of Imam al-Hussein once and after once for the second time. How much are you willing to let go of the most dear person to your heart? Is it only once? Or no, is it going to be repeated again and again and again? As Hazrat Akbar goes back to the battlefield, Imam al-Hussein is looking. All of the enemies, they start surrounding Hazrat Ali Akbar. They start attacking from 4 directions according to the new order that they have received from Umar Asad. One of them from the side, he takes a spear and hits Hazrat Ali Akbar on the side. As Hazrat Ali Akbar shifts to the side, another one comes from the behind and takes a metal club and hits Hazrat Ali Akbar on the head. The body of Hazrat Ali Akbar falls down on his horse. The blood of his body covers the eyes of the horse. The horse, instead of going back towards the khayma of Imam al-Hussein, he starts going towards the khayma of the enemy. But the enemy who knows who is Ali Akbar. Now what is Imam al-Hussein seeing? The body of Hazrat Ali Akbar on the horse, going in the middle of the enemy. The description of the Maqtal. Imam sees the swords going to the sky, all coming down on the same point on the body of Hazrat Ali Akbar. فَقَطَّعُوهُ إِرْبًا إِرْبًا. They start severing the pieces of the body of Hazrat Ali Akbar to the point the shout is heard. Assalamu alayka ya Abu Abdullah. Assalamu alayka ya Abata. Oh Father, this will be my last salam to you. The Maqta says Imam al-Hussein charged towards the enemy like a lion, like a falcon, pushing everybody back. As he pushes everybody back, the sand and the dust goes up to the sky. When the dust settles down, they see Abu Abdullah Hussein getting closer to the remaining body of Hazrat Ali Akbar. Everybody's looking. What is Imam Hussein going to be doing? As Imam gets closer, he kneels down. He starts walking on his knees towards the body of Hazrat Ali Akbar. First, he embraces the body of Hazrat Ali Akbar, but then he changes. He lays the body on the ground. He lowers himself in a position of almost like a prostration. He places the right side of his cheek to the right side of the face of Hazrat Ali Akbar. Akbar. And he keeps on chanting, oh waladi, waladi, waladi. Oh my son, oh my son, oh my son. There is a big silence. And the enemy starts to do halhala. They thought that Imam al-Hussein is finished. All of a sudden, Sayyida Zainab hears the halhala from the enemy. She comes running out from the Khaymagah. She sees Abu Abdullah. I don't know what she sees next to Abu Abdullah. What condition was the body of Hazrat Ali Akbar? She starts running towards the Imam of her time. Imam al-Hussein is known as Ghayratullah. The minute he hears the sound of Sayyida Zainab, he lets go of the body of Hazrat Ali Akbar. He gets up, he holds on to Hazrat Zainab, he takes her back towards the Khaymagah. Now here becomes the Masa'ib. How many people would it take to take a body of a Shaheed back to the Khaymagah? Why Imam al-Hussein says, oh the youth of Bani Hashim, oh all of the young ones of Bani Hashim, come out and grab the body of your brother Hazrat Ali Akbar and take him back to the Khaymah. As they say, at least 6 or 7 or more, they come out and they start taking pieces after pieces after pieces of the body of Hazrat Ali Akbar, placing it in a piece of cloth, trying to take it back to the Khaymah of Shuhada. But la yawmka yawmika ya Abu Abdullah, oh Abu Abdullah, at least here you were able to say your last farewell to Hazrat Ali Akbar. At least here Sayyida Zainab came up to you and you were able to rescue her. Oh Abu Abdullah, soon in a couple of hours comes the time of the Eve of Ashura, when all is done and said, as you're standing up to take one last breath, when that rock comes towards your forehead and hits you in the face, you say, Bismillah wa billah wa ala millati Rasulullah. You lift up your shirt to wipe out the blood coming from your forehead. When that mal'oon is waiting for an opportunity, he takes on an arrow, he aims for your chest. Oh Abu Abdullah, are you looking for that arrow? سيعلم الذين ظلموا أي منقلب ينقلبون إنا لله وإنا إليه راجعون السلام عليك يا أبا عبد الله وعلى الأرواح التي حدت بفنائك عليك مني سلام الله أبدا ما بقيت وبقي الليل والنهار ولا جعله الله آخر العهد مني لزيارتكم السلام على الحسين وعلى والحسن والحسين وتسعة المحسنين من ذرية الحسين يا الله يا الله يا الله. اللهم عجل لبريك الفرج والعافية الناس وجعلنا من أعوانه وأخص شيعته. O Allah, we ask you on the right of Imam Hussein, on the right of Hazrat Ali Akbar, O Allah, hasten the appearance of our Imam of time and grant all of us the bounty of being part of his true companions. O Allah, will ask you to provide forgiveness upon all of us and upon all of our marhumin and marhumat, and to provide complete shifa and cure for all of the mu'mineen and mu'minat who have come down with sicknesses. O Allah, we ask you to continue guiding us on Sirat al-Mustaqim and granting all of us the bounty of conveying the message of Islam to our next generations and offspring. O Allah, we ask you to accept all of these majalis on behalf of your mercy and grace and grant all of us the tawfiq of ziyarat of the Ahlul Bayt in this world and the benefits of the shafa'ah in the next. O Allah, we ask you to place our life, the life of Muhammad wa Ali Muhammad, and to place our death, the death of Muhammad wa Ali Muhammad. رحم الله من قرأ الفاتحة مع الصلوات.
اللهم صل على محمد